Welcome to another edition of the KO Corner. Let's get right to it. We're about a week removed from one of the biggest fights of the year, a fight between unified middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin versus the WBA regular champion Danny Jacobs. Now, this is a fight that's dominated the headlines for the past week or so, and there was a lot of controversy regarding the fight, regarding who won the fight, controversy regarding Gennady Golovkin and his standing as a pound-for-pound fighter and his standing as an all-time great middleweight. Being as there's been a lot of focus on that, I want to shift gears to another topic of important interest, and let's shift on to the lightweight division, which is also an historic boxing division. And being as there was an important fight this past weekend, let's get into it. So over the weekend, we had a fight featuring Jorge Linares and Anthony Crolla, and this is a fight for the WBA and Ring Magazine title at lightweight. And this is actually a rematch from last year's fight, which was somewhat controversial in nature. And when I mean controversial, I mean the UK fans were thinking that this was a controversial fight because they think Crolla won. They thought he was the more active fighter. Well, I shouldn't say they, because I can't speak for everyone, but let's just say, long story short, many people thought he won. It was a close fight, and this fight kind of served as a small resurrection for Linares. So it makes sense to do it again, to see who would be the better man in the rematch. And as we saw this past weekend, for those who were able to watch the fight, it turned out to be Linares. Now, he won this fight in dominant fashion, and there are a few reasons as to why he did that. For one, what was different from the first and second fight was Linares was a lot sharper. The first fight, he was actually coming off an 11-month layoff, so this time around, with a quicker turnaround, Linares looked a little bit sharper, which is bound to happen if you're fighting more frequently. So with that said, as they started the fight, the opening round was, a feeling out round from both guys, Crolla and Linares, which is something that we would see usually when elite fighters are meeting up and fighting. They're trying to feel each other out, they're trying to plant the seeds for their strategy, and they're trying to find their range and find the proper distance for punching or setting traps and doing various things. So as we progressed through the fight, as early as round 2, we saw Linares use his hand speed, which is probably his greatest attribute, to his advantage. He was able to land his jab seemingly at will, which was one of the things that offset Crolla and wouldn't allow him to find his rhythm. Every time Crolla tried to do something, Linares would either jab, he'd throw a combination move and give him different angles, which kept making Crolla reset. So, we saw as early as round 2, Linares was able to shoot his jab, disrupt Crolla's timing. He was able to shoot the double jab. He would jab to the body, then jab to the head, jab to the head, jab to the body, move from side to side, going left to right, right to left, giving angles, dipping, changing levels. He was able to feint, and eventually he was even able to step in and throw combinations and then get out of harm's way. And that was pretty much the picture that we would see for most of the night. Another thing that set off Crolla's timing or rhythm, was every time he did get on the inside, Linares would land a nice counter punch, whether it was an uppercut or even a jab, and got out the way. It would set off Crolla's timing. He could never land more than 1 or 2 shots at a time. Now, one of the good things that Crolla did that we saw early in the fight that may have paid dividends if he was able to execute more consistently was he would throw shots to the body, So every now and then Crolla would land a right hand to the body, he would land a left hook to the body, a left hook to the hip, which is really good and important because when you're fighting a faster fighter, you want to suck their stamina out. You want them to slow down over the course of a fight. So how you do that? You make that deposit to the body early in the fight over the first half, and you hope to see it pay off over the second half of the fight. Hopefully you see that fighter drop their hands a little bit more. The steam on their punches come off a little bit more. Maybe they're not as fast, not as active. Unfortunately for Crolla, he wasn't able to land consistently enough where he could see that go to his favor and take advantage of that, because Linares was still sharp as it went into the later rounds. So it was something that did not work out. But Linares, once again, that was mostly just what he was doing. He was able to offset whatever Crolla tried to do, and Crolla was never able to put in more than one punch at a time. He was never able to establish any kind of combinations, unlike Linares, who was actually able to do that. And as I mentioned earlier, he stopped Crolla with a lot of counter punches, with uppercuts in particular. He found a home for his uppercut all night long. He even knocked Crolla down with a vicious left uppercut in the 7th round. And it was a punch Crolla never saw coming. And it's obvious that from the first fight, Linares did his homework and looked at the certain things that Crolla likes to do. So he was able to do that and, land that vicious uppercut, a trademark punch throughout the course of the fight, I'd say that, and his jabs. And it was a beautiful, masterful performance from Linares, who established himself as, if not the premier guy of the lightweight division, one of the main staples of the lightweight division, which is a pretty interesting division because everyone likes to talk about the welterweight division, the junior welterweight division, the light heavyweight division, junior bantamweight as the most deep divisions in boxing. But I think we need to take a look at the lightweight division as well, because aside from Linares, who is the WBA and Ring Magazine champion, we also have Mikey Garcia, who is undefeated, and he is the WBC champion. And I bring up Mikey in particular because this fight between Linares and Crolla, it was of course on Sky Sports, because they have the UK fighter on there, but it was also on Showtime International. And we had Al Bernstein and Paulie Malignaggi offering their insight and commentary between rounds, but they also had a special guest, and his name is Mikey Garcia. So it looks like Showtime is trying to build a fight between Linares and Garcia at some point this year, maybe during the summertime, hopefully sooner rather than later, because that's a very interesting matchup. And that fight can be hard to judge on who we can predict will win that fight. Mikey Garcia obviously has power, has a wonderful boxing pedigree with his father as a great trainer. His older brother is a great trainer, Robert Garcia, and a former fighter and world champion as well. And Mikey Garcia has showcased in the past that he's a really good fighter. He has a deep amateur background. He fought Terrence Crawford in the amateurs. He sparred with Manny Pacquiao. He's obviously very talented, and in his last fight, he knocked out a guy and left him unconscious. So he's definitely made a nice recovery and resurrection with his career after having that 2-year hiatus dealing with Top Rank. So I'm glad to see things are in order for him. We also have another great champion, or two other great champions in the lightweight division, with Tommy Flanagan and with Robert Easter, both undefeated. Flanagan from the UK, so he might want to try and get some revenge on behalf of Crolla against Linares. We also have Robert Easter, who called out Mikey Garcia and wants to test his might. And what's good about Easter in these matchups is, even though he's young and some people still want to say inexperienced, he is a world champion. And he does have attributes which can pose problems to any lightweight, being as he's fast, he has really good punching power, and he's long. He's very tall and has a long reach. And I think he'll be a nightmare for any fighter out there, win or lose. So we definitely have some intriguing matchups. We'll see how these will play out throughout the rest of the year. And we'll see who can win these matchups if they actually do come into fruition. It looks like the lightweight division is developing kind of like an unannounced tournament, so to speak. So maybe we'll have Linares versus Garcia, Flanagan versus Easter, and maybe the winners fight each other. Maybe we'll have Garcia versus Easter, Flanagan versus Linares, winners fight each other. Who knows? The possibilities are endless. But let's hope, as a fighting fan, we can see some of these matchups come into fruition. Now, another thing I wanted to focus on with Linares in general is just his career and his path and where he's been and how he's responded to adversity. Linares is a guy who's always been regarded as highly talented, very fast hands, explosive, beautiful combinations, a talented boxer. He's known as the Golden Boy. He was built up and supposed to be the second coming of the Golden Boy, Oscar de la Hoya. Very talented fighter from Venezuela. Unfortunately for him, he's been knocked out a few times and gone through some hurdles, but I think it's a testament to him as a person, despite these setbacks and despite being knocked out, to actually come back and win, world titles. I believe he's a 4-time champion. I mean, that's really impressive. Another thing is to also have the ability to be a road warrior and go to other places, go to other people's backyards. If you're going to your opponent's backyard to win the title and then defend your title, that says a lot about you as a fighter and as a champion. And I believe he should be commended for that. He should receive attention for that. And he's mentioned in the past fighting guys like Garcia and seeking out the best challenges, and he's doing what he's supposed to do as a champion. And I think more writers and more fans should pay him his respect for that and give the respect to all the fighters like that. Robert Easter is another guy. He's the one that's calling out Mikey Garcia. He said he wants to fight Mikey Garcia. He wants to prove himself as a young elite fighter in the lightweight division and in the sport of boxing. So I think we need to get behind all these fighters and support them. And I'm glad to see that everyone in this division, at least, is trying to step up to the plate and make these fights happen. Another thing I want to touch up on is Mikey Garcia and the path that he's going to take. Because in the past, most recently, he's mentioned fighting the likes of a Terrence Crawford. He's mentioned the likes of fighting a Manny Pacquiao. Mentioned the likes of fighting Keith Thurman. Now, Terrence Crawford is up in weight. He's a weight class above him at 140. We have Manny Pacquiao, who's a weight above that at 147. And we have Keith Thurman, who is in the same division as Manny Pacquiao at 147. So that's very interesting to see that Mikey Garcia wants to fight these guys. These are all three, Thurman, Crawford, and Pacquiao, are premier names of the sport. And they are still elite names of the sport. And I think that's interesting. We have this man at lightweight trying to challenge himself, taking on these bigger fighters. It's interesting to see what path he will actually take as we see this year progress. Will he stay at lightweight and fight guys like Flanagan, Linares, Easter? We have Kame, who's also a talented fighter in the lightweight division. We have Felix Verdejo, who is a talented fighter in the lightweight division. So will Garcia stay at this weight class, clean it up before he moves up, or will he fight at higher weight classes and seek bigger paydays and potentially bigger opportunities? It's very interesting to see the path that Mikey Garcia will take. And of course, he's obviously talented enough. If he's not able to win some of these proposed matchups, I believe he'll be very competitive in every single matchup. So it's very interesting to see what path he'll take. And I'm glad at what the fighters are doing in this lightweight division. It's looking like a very talented division, a very deep division, and I'm liking the balls that each fighter is showing out there, wanting to take on these greater challenges and seek these big fights and make things entertaining in a sport that many like to claim is dying, which it obviously isn't. So we will definitely see what happens. If you want to catch more content from the KO Corner, you can check out our website. You can check out our WordPress site, and we will leave a link in the description box. You can also send us an email at kocorner123@gmail.com. You can also check out our content on boxinginsider.com. And you can also check us out on Dontae's Boxing Nation. We are a part of the weekly panel. So you can definitely check out Dontae, check out his channel, and continue to follow this one. Of course, you can like or dislike this video, or more importantly, you can just subscribe. Thanks once again, and we'll catch you on the next one.